All right. Well, welcome everyone. Glad that you've joined us for this discussion around moving from data to member delight and how credit unions can use AI to streamline operations. So, we want to kick things off just with a few guidelines that you'll notice as you join. This presentation is being recorded, and so you will be captured. If that's something you're uncomfortable with, you're welcome to drop off. All attendees are muted and videos are turned off. And if you have questions, we invite you to ask those through the Microsoft Teams chat functionality. In terms of our agenda today, we're going to just kick things off with some welcome and introductions. And then we're going to talk about the data story and how important your data estate is when it comes to supporting your AI use cases. And then we'll dive into some real world use cases through a conversation we're going to have with one of our clients. And then we're going to show some demos that are going to showcase what some of those AI capabilities are within the credit union space. And we'll talk about next steps briefly, and then we'll finally have some closing and some wrap up. Just a brief comment on who HSO is. So we appreciate you joining us here today. HSO is a Microsoft's only partner, so we focus exclusively on the Microsoft technology stack. From a consulting standpoint, we've been working as a systems integrator for 30 plus years at this point, and we do have a very specific focus on industry. And financial services is one of those industry pillars that we support, with credit unions and banks, of course, being a key aspect of that. We're also joined by Jared Kadahia from Microsoft. So, Jared, if you want to just take a minute and say a few words about Microsoft's partnership, that'd be great.
Definitely. Thank you. So great getting to meet everybody. And like JT said, I'm part of the Microsoft team in what we call our SME and C space, small, medium, and enterprise corporate area. And we help service all of the mid-market segment for Microsoft. And as the goal states here, we're here to help empower every person and every organization on that planet to achieve more. And that's what we're here for. And we utilize partners like HSO as the boots on the ground to really help us get industry focused. Whereas Microsoft itself is we are the platform, and then the partners are like HSO help come in, give that industry lens.
In terms of who you'll be hearing from today, so my name's JT Triple, and I'm a Microsoft Cloud Specialist here at HSO within our financial services team. You'll hear from others throughout the presentation, and they'll introduce themselves as we go. But this is a slate of folks that you'll be hearing from today. When it comes to the data story, what we wanted to do in the first few minutes here is just talk about how important healthy data is and how essential it is for successful AI outcomes. And at HSO, we have what we call a data first methodology when it comes to any kind of implementation that we do, and with respect to driving successful AI utilization and outcomes within an organization. And credit unions are no different from any other organization in that you have large and typically sprawling data estates. You have many different systems that are capturing data for the organization, and getting your arms around that data can be challenging. And so this is a way that we approach it. You'll see here just a methodology that we walk through with our clients when we're attempting to bring about that successful adoption from the AI standpoint. So first thing we need to do is this step that we call inspire, but really what we're talking about here is just understanding what are the benefits and the business impacts of a data first mindset. What are the real outcomes that you can expect once you have begun to bring your data estate into a modern and a well constructed platform? And then from there, we move into strategy. And this is really critical, where we talk about aligning your data strategy with your business goals. And that's an important bridge that needs to be established in any organization, where you would have the business partnering with technology to ensure that the data estate is set up well to support those outcomes that the business needs in order to really drive transformation. From there, we move into the proven platform. And Jared, we obviously are a Microsoft shop, and so we work very closely with you and your teams on the different platforms. But if you want to take a minute and just talk about the platform and the data security pieces of this.
Definitely. And like you said, it's really about getting that foundation to unify your data into something, whether that's Microsoft Fabric and its ability to either mirror and connect your data to have that one source of truth through the scalable platform of Fabric, and then wrap everything in the secure layer that Microsoft provides, whether that's Defender, Sentinel, being able to reach your entire and protect your entire data estate beyond that. And then I'll go ahead and go back to you, JT, on that time to value.
Yeah, once you've got the data deployed to a scalable platform, you need something that can encompass the fullness of everything that you are trying to address with all of those different various systems, and whether that's your core or your CRM or other business line of business applications, bringing all of that together into a cohesive whole. And then, as Jared said, it's been wrapping that in a secure layer that protects that data is super critical. We then move into the time to value, where what we're thinking here, what we're trying to promote is the way to achieve those quick wins. So once the data is well governed, it's well established, and it's scalable, now it's time to start driving outcomes. And that's where we have tools such as what we call our DNA accelerator. The DNA accelerator is a means by which we can ingest multiple additional data sources into a central data warehouse, such as Fabric would serve, or Microsoft's Azure Data Lake storage. There are different ways. SQL Server sometimes is used in that capacity. But bringing all of that data together in a rapid and a repeatable fashion so that we can start to harness that for reaching it across it with these AI tools and AI capabilities. And that really drives the decision-making step. Once the data is unified, now we can start to develop a comprehensive master data management approach where we're able to start making really business critical decisions based on the data that we have aggregated. And then finally, that leads us to where we want to talk about today, which is to become an AI-driven organization. So laying this foundation really is just an essential element, and we wanted to take a minute to talk about that before we jump in too deeply to the AI use cases, just because there are so many risks involved with not establishing a strong foundation for your data. There's just a few studies that have been done. There are many of them out there that are addressing this now. There's a common phrase that you'll see if you're following different stories around AI in the news or on LinkedIn. And that phrase is, if you put garbage in, you get garbage out. And this is really some statistics that back that statement up to show that just what some of the risk is around productivity loss, around financial loss, and just the gap that exists when organizations are not taking the time to fully and properly establish their data estates. Once data is well established, however, then we see this branching into three particular pillars when it comes to AI use cases and AI outcomes. And this is going to be familiar to you, but the three that we typically see categorize these different use cases under would be around productivity gains. So being able to enhance the productivity of your users within, whether that be internal users or external consumers of the data, to be able to just accelerate those productivity tasks. Another element of this is going to be around accessibility and democratization of data, making data more accessible to your users through AI tools. Something as simple as a chatbot that is sitting on top of a knowledge repository that you can use to interact with through natural language is a much more seamless and broad way to interface with that data, as opposed to using manual searches and things like that of the way that we used to have to get into and unpack that data. And then innovation. This is where we ultimately see the true value of AI is in the way that it can start to provide these transformative applications that are going to really drive and help assist us with problem solving, with developing custom solutions, and delivering those competitive advantages that AI truly can deliver once that data has been established in a healthy and a strong and a robust environment. When we think about AI, we think of this, it's easy to jump to the far of this chart and think about what is AI going to be from a very all-encompassing, very transformative perspective. But AI is adopted on a maturity scale for most organizations. And you can see that this is a progression here from those that are exploring AI, where you're starting to think about what are the basic applications that we can use to start to interface with our data. Things like Copilot and just starting to query your underlying data foundation. Then you move up the chart and you start to put more specific strategies in place. You start to standardize practices. And then ultimately, organizations will be able to move into that far upper right quadrant where they're starting to really lead their industry when it comes to AI capabilities. And in the same way that organizations mature with AI, there's a maturity scale to AI use cases. And this is important to understand because this is how we start to adopt AI. Is we typically see that most organizations are starting in that lower left quadrant with SaaS-based agents. And what I mean by that is you have your, let's say, your line of business application like your CRM platform, which is what we're going to focus on in some of the demos. And you've got agents or chatbots or basic tools, AI tools that are attached to that CRM platform. That's where you've got the copilots that are available through M365, and you can start to interface with your data at a very basic level. But then you have opportunities to move up that chart, and you can start to get into custom agents where you're building out copilots of your own using Copilot Studio, for example. And then ultimately, we start to see organizations using tools like Azure AI Foundry and using that to underpin much more complex and large-scale AI capabilities, getting into things such as predictive analysis and helping support that critical business decision-making. We did want to just share just briefly what some of the different agents are that we're developing. There's a lot of them. This is just a very small sampling of what we're developing in terms of financial services agents. You'll see several of these in action in the demos that we're going to showcase. But this is just, like I said, a handful of things that we're trying to support our clients with and how we're rolling these out and making these available. In wrapping up the data story here, what we wanted to really land on is that you may have all of these different data sources, as you see arranged on the left-hand side of this chart, all kinds of data from all across the organization. And what we counsel and advise and really push our clients to do is to bring and to unify that. And Fabric is a particularly excellent place to do so because Fabric has the capability of basically bringing in and knitting together, if you will, all of the different data sources through things like what they call mirroring or shortcuts. You don't have to ingest all of your data into Fabric in order to access it and to start to build these workloads and use cases around it. But that is so foundational. That's what allows us to move to that next step where we're developing copilots, we're developing agents, we're developing AI, and that's giving us the foundation that we need. Not only for that, but then furthermore for things like reporting and those sorts of outcomes. So that's the data story. We wanted, again, to just take a few minutes to lay that foundation before we jump into the AI use cases. But we're really pleased to introduce you to Meka Tao, who's going to be sharing some of her perspective as she has been working in developing AI within her organization, TruStone Financial. Ted and Meka, I will hand it over to you.
First of all, Meka, thank you for joining us and spending the time and sharing some thoughts on this. I know you're in the midst of working on some various projects with us, from a data modernization project in alignment with what JT just presented there, and then also on a CRM deployment and CRM modernization project as well. But what we really want to talk about is how TruStone has worked with AI in the past and where you're going in the future, and get some insights from you on what our credit union customers can also learn from you as you process through this. If you could, maybe take a few minutes and talk a little bit about what you guys have done with AI to date and some of the use cases that you've deployed currently.
Yeah, certainly. All right. Yeah. At TruStone, we've been taking a practical approach to AI, really focusing on the use cases that enhance both employee efficiency and member experience. So, our first major initiative was an internal AI knowledge base. We branded that to call True Assist, and in the layman term, it's more of a customer service tool for our frontline staff. That designed for members to retrieve operational information instantly, such as for opening a safe deposit box. Previously, these inquiries could take up to 15 minutes because these are things that we don't receive very often. And because if you don't do them every day, you're going to forget them. With our conversational AI interface, it now takes a lot of those, or maybe all of them, under 3 minutes. So you can see that efficiency gain from our frontline staff. There's also freedom for higher value member interactions. For people that walks in the branch, they can really focus on those members. And then also for new employees, asking managers for things that are new or maybe they are uncomfortable with. The next product that we also participate in is recently we have evolved our chatbot, which is called Ruth, and that is a external facing tool where we used to have that used to be rule-based AI, and then we have moved that into a more generative AI-driven assistant. So now Ruth can carry on natural conversations rather than serving basic static answers. For instance, you can ask Ruth and say, hey, does TruStone volunteer in the community? It will reference across our website, crawl across knowledge sources, and provides real-time examples of those local events. Last but not least, on the data science side, we have built two foundational model types. One is an attrition model, which identifies members who may be disengaged, not fully utilizing the membership, so that we can re-engage them proactively. Another model type is a suite of propensity models. We built 8 so far. These cover major products, categories such as checking sales, mortgage, HELOC, loan, certificates, and much more. These models predict the next best product for each member based on their behaviors and data profile. So, really looking at the likelihood of adoption. Where does this take us? These models will help us create a more personalized recommendation tool for cross-sell and retention, really forming that backbone of our AI journey for member engagement.
That's really exciting stuff. You've got a lot on your plate. Going on there. A question for you, as many people on this call have probably heard before, that there's statistics being bandied about that 80+% of AI initiatives fail and are not adopted at organizations. I have some opinions about that, on why that happens, and maybe people are just dabbling with it and not really driving towards specific use cases. But maybe you can talk a little bit about how you guys ensured that these solutions, these AI solutions, were adopted in your organization, and kind of the steps you took to make sure they were going to be successful.
Yes, absolutely. Adoption is huge and it's not easy. However, our adoption has been positive, I would say. We approach AI not as a technology tool or project, but more of a business capability that first hone in. We also provide education as far as educating our leaders and the staff on how AI can support our mission, primarily for the member experience and operational efficiency. For example, our knowledge-based assistant, where we started that off with, was we did a proof of value, really with a small sample size, and really gain and say, hey, focusing on the why and what's not working, and continue making improvements to that small sample size within a small time box. Moving from like a 30, 60, 90 days, we've gone through a proof of value, gone through a proof of concept with our team members at the front line, and really surveying their feedback. Along with that as well too is we brought in, from the knowledge base of it, those consist of procedures and policies that may have been outdated, have not been updated for years. And for us, data is important. However, it doesn't have to be perfect. So what we've done was we collected a sample of that, ingested right into the tool, and then have it learn. And based on the proof of value and proof of concept, with the team members that are going through that, they will flag thumbs up or thumbs down based on the output of it. And with the thumbs down, we go back to those procedure owners and say, hey, is this correct? Let's make that adjustment, update it real time, and just right in. And so that training and that sample continue to evolve and create the data quality of our procedures and policies. And then after 90 days going right into 120 days, we were able to launch fully. And the data quality started from, I think, 25%, went all the way up to over 85% before we launched. And that's under 120 days. That, yeah.
So you were doing real-time education of the model as you went through the proof of concept and proof of value before you took it fully live.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about what you're currently doing and what you've done as far as driving success through these. What does the future lie for you in the next year or two as far as AI going forward? Do you have your eyes around that and your arms around where you want to go?
Yes, taking a look at some of our major shifts, personalization at scale, right? Instead of some broad marketing with our models, in-house models that we have, we will be able to really enable and truly bring that individualized offers, conversations, financial insights for each of our member. And then also from a predictive engagement perspective, AI will help us move from reactive to proactive service. So really identifying member needs before they even contact us. What does that near future look like? And really moving into the agentic AI capabilities, there is these AI agents will perform multi-steps that are autonomously, such as assisting members in applying for loans or maybe even adjusting their account preferences across systems in real time. These are just a few examples. Again, the art of the possible is there. And for us, it's really, pulling that back and looking at what is that business use case? What is that business capability that we're trying to solve?
Excellent. You talked a bit about propensity data and predictive analytics, what you've done there. Can you maybe talk a little bit more of what you've done and how this is helping you provide better member service, better predictive insights into your members, and also how you can maybe potentially turn that into marketing and other steps and activities as a result of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. These 8 propensity models, the journey of that has been, I would say, pretty amazing. It's about a 9-month journey. And what I mean by that is the first piece of it is really the data and curating that data. The first model took about 6-7 months, you can say right there, to really get that to a quality or to what we can start using it. So for example, we analyzed over 700 variables. And variables could be from like age, tenure with a credit union, product mix, etc. And so with that, as we are curating the data, we learned that about 6 or 7 of those key factors are mostly strong variables to predict product adoption. And so with that, we tailor that based on those different key factors and then wrap up those models and then start building new models on top of that. Again, the 8 models that follow that same method. How this has helped us is our marketing department, before they will go off of, hey, maybe we will send for a particular campaign, we will probably just send it to maybe 50% of our members, right? Not knowing what that adoption rate will look like or the result of that. The data now with those data is now it can improve those conversion rates. It looks for those targeted high likelihood of members that are really looking to maybe get an auto loan or potentially CDs might be on their top list. And so the campaign is more tailored towards some of those different products, next best products. And so therefore, it has been very positive on that side of the house. So by offering very relevant products rather than just mass promotions, you can say. Yeah, looking ahead how Gen AI and Agentic will take these propensity models further is It will not only drive or not only predict what the member needs are, but also automatically generate those personalized offers, outreach messages, or maybe even follow up on actions and really assisting our members, whether it is the call centers or you walk into a branch, especially with our member relationship management implementation that we're currently in flight right now. That data is available in Fabric already. Yeah.
That's exciting. I know we're running out of time, and I appreciate, and I'm sure there's a lot more we could talk about here. But as a parting statement, what advice would you give to other credit unions who are just starting to begin and explore their AI journeys?
Yeah, I would say start simple, yet be strategic about your journey. Don't wait for perfection. As I mentioned, you don't have to clean every data set, making sure data is in one location to start. Again, progress beats perfection, at least from my lens. However, really focus on this use case that solve a business problem. I would also recommend talk with peers, especially in the credit union community. Many of them like to share similar challenges. Share your lessons, pilots, and even missteps. It's this transformation, as I call it, is not a solo journey. We learn better from collaboration. One thing I like to pull out is also organization change management is critical. Treat AI adoption as both a technology and a culture shift. Start with a proof of concept, to really demonstrate value quickly and build momentum. Bring your people along with you on the journey. And equally important, make sure to bring in compliance and risk partners in early, making sure governance, transparency, and that trust is built within your AI strategy from the start. And most importantly, lead with a purpose. AI should be able to amplify your mission and vision, not replace them. So hopefully these help.
Excellent. Mika, thank you so much for spending time and sharing your thoughts and journey with the other folks on the call here. We look forward to working with you further and hearing about more exciting things.
Thank you.
Now we're going to share a few demos just to showcase what some of the opportunities are when it comes to deploying AI use cases. And we're going to talk about several here. We're going to talk about use cases that pertain to cross-sell and upsell. We'll also talk about improving member engagements and marketing, and then also some AI-enhanced self-service as well as member service use cases. You'll see those featured here as well. So kick this off.
In today's demonstration, we're going to review AI-enhanced advisor and member experiences. First up, we're going to see Spencer, who's our member advisor. He enjoys being a trusted financial advisor. He likes helping grow member relationships. He also loves delivering exceptional member service. He likes to stay ahead of financial trends and also really keen on hitting his targets efficiently. And we're going to help him do that by providing a seamless, frictionless way to manage member data and interactions so that he can focus more on being a trusted financial advisor and not a data administrator. We'll also meet Betty, who is one of our members, and she likes to receive exceptional service. She too likes to build trusted relationships, as well as achieve financial goals, both personally and professionally. And she also likes to stay informed on different types of financial solutions to maximize her investments and her long-term goals. So she too will be able to benefit from these AI-enhanced experiences. First up, we're going to start with a HELOC campaign, and we're going to run through how Betty receives the information from the marketing module and how she interacts with that, and then how Dynamics is able to capture those details and information. Okay, first we're going to start in our Customer Insights Journeys application, which is the marketing app and how we do outreach. So we start with our typical dashboard, but the way that we created a campaign was we first started with our content. And so we'll look at our emails. And here's how we created this campaign. We have a nice, easy to use drag and drop editor. I can add more items here. So if I wanted to, for example, add more text, add images, add buttons, right? We could do all those things. But we also are incorporating AI within the content generation. And so I was able to create the content with the help of the HSO Credit Union Assistant just by typing in a few simple phrases that then generated this output. So a great way to have AI quickly generate content for me based on our own language in our own set of documents and storage and history. So once we create the emails, we then go in and target our segments. In our segments, we can do the same thing. We can either, as you see here, I've got customers already built without credit cards, with checking and savings, with credit cards, with mortgages. That's the one we're going to use today. But if I wanted to create a new segment, I could easily also use AI to create segments. And we're going to show you this initial experience where we could simply tell the system what we want. All members in Florida who have a credit card but no. Okay, then the last thing that we did is we kicked off the journey. And the journey here is a multi-step journey where there's our target segment. We're using this email to be sent initially. We're also sending a text message, waiting a period of time, sending a second email, and then we're starting to monitor what's being interacted with. And if the emails have been interacted with, we're going to schedule a call for an advisor to call them. And if there's interest, the system will automatically create an opportunity. If no interactions are recorded, then we'll just send another email and we could continue on down the path of sending more information, including things like A/B tests, channel optimization to let AI do those types of things and make the system a lot more smart. So let's now go take a look at Betty and the recipient of one of these emails. So we're going to pop over to Betty here. And here's the email that Betty received. And so there is the email that as it was created. We also did personalization here, right? So we want to make sure that our members feel valued. So we want to be able to do that. And then, yep, you know what? I am interested. And so we're going to go take a look at the landing pages or the portal page site that we've got. And there we go. We're now seeing things related to mortgages and loans. But before I start doing anything, I want to have a quick chat. And the first thing I want to do is what HELOC options are available. So this is the AI assistant that is helping us from a customer-facing or member-facing perspective. So here we go, and we're asking what HELOC options are available. And it absolutely can help us with a number of those different things. And in this case, it's giving me the different options. I kind of like the idea of a line of credit. And there we go. Do I want to speak to an agent? Do I want to start the loan process? And we could walk the member through this entire process through this agent. And the agent from here then we could start the loan process. It can provide us more details and we can walk the member completely through those steps. But at the end, we want to collect some good positive feedback. And so we like to continuously see how we're doing with our members. So we're going to give that a 5-star rating. And then there we go. Rating has been captured and we're done with that particular experience. Pretty sweet, right? Based on our successful marketing campaign, Betty has decided to come into a branch and talk with an advisor. So we're going to go ahead and just log in. Don't remember my number. And I can pick from any number of advisors that are at that particular branch or first available. I'm going to go ahead, I like Spencer. And in this case, we're going to talk about HELOC. But before I do that, let me ask the friendly credit union AI assistant some questions. And you can see here, we have some previous details that we can tell, that we can pre-prompt. And in this case, yeah, I want some HELOC information. And so now the system is going to generate the response just based on a simple query. And there we go. We see our starting rates. We see a lot more detail about what we're offering there. And then I could ask, what documents do I need to start the HELOC process? And again, the AI assistant will use its understanding of language as well as our content and suggest what types of documents we need to start that loan process. Yeah, so pretty sweet, right? But let's go ahead now and we're going to go ahead and check in because we want to actually talk to Spencer. And so we get a nice little notification. Hey, we should be in the lobby just a few minutes. We're good to go. Awesome. Now I'm going to use the Credit Union Assistant to get a 360-degree view of the member Betty demo. I'm just going to do a simple summarize member Betty demo. And now the system is querying our sources to generate the summarization or the 360-degree view for Betty demo. And there we have it. Here is her summary. We have her contact details, her employer information, checking and savings accounts and other products and services, who her family members are, relationship and activities, preferences and goals, and she's been a long-standing member with a diverse portfolio. Pretty sweet, right? Now, let me query the system and see if the Credit Union Assistant will offer some suggestions for her HELOC. What are the best options for a HELOC for Betty demo? And there we have it. So now, based upon her profile and her needs, right, these are the suggestions. So it's suggesting that these are some current opportunities, but let's really look at what she should be recommending, right? Digital convenience, how she can use it, what are some of the next steps, and there we go. So we can really see a lot of detail around that. And now we're going to show you how you can actually update the system. So not only do we get these amazing summaries and detail that we have about our members in various systems, but we can also update these systems. So let's add a note with the HELOC options to Betty Demo's profile. And so there we go. System is off and running, and it just added the note to the system. And this can be a core system. This can be CRM, which I'm going to show you here shortly. So some really amazing capabilities to get detailed information as well as update information. Now we're going to show you the same Credit Union Assistant exposed inside of Teams. So here I am inside of my Teams application. Betty Demo is also a business banking member, so I'm just going to get a quick summary of her business. So summarize Pediatric Care Center. And there we go. There is the business summary of Pediatric Care Center. So some amazing ways for us to not only get information about our members, but also about the businesses that they may have, and provide a much more seamless and smooth experience when they either visit us in the branch or on our website. And we can even incorporate these inside our telephony system. So now let's go ahead and create an opportunity for the HELOC opportunity. Create new opportunity for Betty Demo with a topic of HELOC options for Betty. Estimated amount is $75,000. Expect to close by December 31st, and set the sales stage to develop. And there we go. Let's see what happens. And a new opportunity has been created. So let's now go take a look inside of our core system. In this case, it's Dynamics CRM. And so you're going to see both of those experiences here. So here is the member application, and I have my branch KPIs, right? And that's just a Power BI report. But let's go take a look at Betty Demo and see where all that detail is being pulled from, as well as where the details are updated. And so we see here is our embedded Power BI 360 that gives us a lot of that information from an application perspective. Here's her household details, the recent activities, next best actions. And then we can see more information related to her profile, what products and services. We can even tap into the core systems just by linking and pushing information to those systems. We then have a roll-up of household and related details. So we could have power of attorney on here, accountants, etc. Any referrals that Betty has provided. So we see that, yep, she is a pretty darn good customer, and also praises our company to others and brings in additional business. Then her know your member details, as well as all of the interactions, and then any pertinent documents. So here's where you're seeing all the notes and related details around opportunities being added to the system. And then there's also documents that the assistant can pull from. So now this is what we see from a member perspective. If we go over and maybe I'm a commercial banker, you'll see I've got a different dashboard for what I focus on, which is mainly commercial loans. And then let's go take a look at Betty's details. And because I deal with her a lot, we've put them right there at my fingertips. And now you'll see we get different actions and we have different products and services at the core organization or business level as well. But then we see similar types of summary details, contacts, as well as referrals from this organization. What financial accounts does she have? Our interactions, if we want LinkedIn, as well as our documents. So combining agentic AI with core CRM and your core banking components, we can really elevate the experience for both your end users and your members. Thank you.
I hope that was interesting and valuable to you to see some of those different use cases that we are working with our clients on developing and implementing within their business processes. We just wanted to take one more minute here at the end before we wrap up, talk about just what are the building blocks for AI adoption. Really, it starts with process redesign, identifying where AI is going to add real value to the organization, and Mika talked about that somewhat. Really, that's the foundational first step, is how are we going to bring value to the business? And that's how you're going to drive adoption, is through alignment with value to the business. Wanting to help provide training and transparency, show how those AI solutions are going to work within folks' daily routines and what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. But then also from there, start to create an AI champions group and a network of folks that are interested in helping to establish an AI presence within the business. And that will help to drive adoption even further. And then finally, communicating the why, framing up AI as an enabler, as a way in which you can focus on developing higher value tasks. It's not a replacement, it's a way to enable your team to upskill and to up-level their capabilities as well. If you'd like to learn more, we do have an AI briefing just tailored specifically for credit unions, and we'd love to connect with you further on that. If you have interest, you can scan the QR code that you see there. That will take you to a landing page where you can sign up and register for more information. But if you do find that of value, we would love to connect further with you and talk more about how we can support you in your AI journey and how we've been working and supporting other credit unions in that same process. All right. Thank you all for your time. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging in there with us, and hope everyone has a great rest of your day.